Would you really like to know who did it? It was Hawk. And it was Diaz. And Robinson. And it was Nichols, Chubbs, Red. When one of you makes a move, you all make a move. You live and you die with the consequences and the spoils. Because you are all Cobra Kai.
Welcome to No Mercy, a Cobra Kai Kickback. My name is Jakob Burrows, and I represent Miyagi-Do. Don't tell anyone, but like most members of Miyagi-Do, I was once Cobra Kai.
My name is Jim Scampoli. I represent Cobra Kai because I can wax nostalgic, have a classic night with the boys, and will always top it off with a body bag. Yes, that's right. This is Season 2, Episode 6, Take a Right.
Can you believe that I didn't put that together until just now? I'm an idiot. I'm such an idiot.
Put what together?
The body bag.
Are you for real?
Yeah, I was just like, this is very bleak. This is very bleak right now.
I mean, you got him a body bag.
I know.
The reality, though, like the bleakness of it is that the actor Rob Garrison did pass away. He passed away 2 months after this aired, by the way. I think September 19th. So that is a bum out. It is. I mean, I know it's like in the grand scheme of someone's life. Obviously, this was like a small part of it. But I'm sure it was really cool that he was in The Karate Kid. And in a selfish way, to me at least, it's cool that they had this episode and we got to see all like the Cobra Kais back together. Like at least not that I could say that to his family, you know what I mean? But at least from a fan's perspective, I think that's super cool that they got to have like this episode in this moment. It's great stuff all around.
So was he actually dying and that's why they did it? In the show?
I'm not sure. Let me see.
That's so dark. There's so many layers to this that I didn't even comprehend. And I have a podcast on this. Jesus.
Oh yeah, were you not? I'm sorry, were you not aware? I didn't mean to dump that bad news.
Yeah, no, I didn't know.
Yeah, it looks like he passed away from liver disease. Let me see. I don't know if they have much behind that. Age of 59. He had been admitted for over a month in a West Virginia hospital for treatment of kidney and liver issues when his organs shut down. Let's see. After his death, Cobra Kai producer John Hurwitz revealed that Garrison was potentially scheduled to appear in Season 3. Oh, that sucks.
Wait,
yeah,
so this is always the problem for me. I get all the old Cobra Kai's mixed up. I don't know which one is which. So who died? Not the guy who died in the film? Or
no, it is the guy who died. Yeah, it's Tommy.
But they were originally maybe having him in Season 3?
How would that even work?
Yeah. Well, on that note,
I suppose if they were going to do some sort of flashback or something, that would have been weird though.
Well, yeah, no, jokes aside, I do always, like, it's really interesting in the fandom or whatever, how you see people, like, there's fan fiction about these different, like, Cobra Kais, and to me, I kind of remember them as having distinct faces and personalities, like in the original films, but they do kind of bleed together as, like, there's Johnny and then there's his Cobra Kai crew, and I mean, they do a good job in this one. Obviously, now in this episode, it's very clear who the different characters are, and I think they do a good job when they bring them back, but just I don't connect them to who the kids were in the original. Some are, like, I've seen, because I troll the fan fiction boards, obviously, there's some slashes that are much more popular than others, and I'm like, well, I don't know which ones would stand out, because they're all just the background Cobra Kais in the original film to me.
And you know what, thinking about it, to circle back on him being in Season 3, it would have to be one of those like Ghost, if Johnny's in like the lowest of the low moment and he, Tommy shows up and is talking to him. They would have done something like that, I imagine.
They do love their flashbacks, so they probably just would have made it a flashback.
I don't even think it would be a flashback. I think they would have done one of those like
Star Wars ghosts.
Not a Star Wars ghost, but just it's shorthand in movies and TV where someone will have a deceased character will show up and like give them the reasoning they need type deal. You know what I mean? When it's like then they look up and they're not there, but it's just their conscience or it's a way to have their mind speak to them through, a character from their past. They would have been able to do that.
Well, if that was the plan, I hope that they didn't know he was dying from liver disease, because that's kind of a tasteless thing to plan. Like, oh, he's going to be real dead. So,
of course. I imagine if they're planning on him coming back in season 3, I don't think they knew he was dying.
Right. It's a hell of a coincidence, though. Right. So, on that light note, we're going to get into episode 6, Take a Right, directed by Josh Heald. It's written by Josh Heald, John Hurwitz, Hayden Schlossberg. And yeah, so we start out with the dojo being fixed back up. Kind of a good reveal here. We think it's obviously being fixed up by Daniel-san, but no, it's Miyagi-san fixing it up in the past.
Yes, yeah, I think this is well done. I wonder if it's the same guy who was the fisherman.
He's got less hair, this guy, but then he was wearing a hat, so who knows? Not sure.
But as we mentioned, this is perfect. I mean, little did they know they were playing into Miyagi-Do's hands, because they have a trash dojo and they have an influx of new students. So this is a great training ground for new students, because what are they going to do? Just paint the house over and over again? Now they have a reason to paint it. They have a reason to fix everything up. But yeah, it's trashed. And in the midst of that, Johnny is in the middle of punishing his students because he wants to know who trashed Miyagi-Do. Because, Johnny's not as much of a piece of shit right now. He wants to have more honor. He's still all about showing no mercy and, striking first, but he wants to do it with honor. But there's no honor in snitching. So they're in quite a quagmire here, because no one wants to say who did it, and he's punishing them anyways to figure out who did.
Yeah, this is the worst possible time to have Kreese there, because Hawk is like, I think I should probably tell Sensei Lawrence that I did it. And he's like, no, no, you shouldn't. So just keeps the whole punishment thing going, trying to teach them a lesson about not to snitch, I guess. And also, when one of you makes a move, you all make a move. And it's also the worst timing for Johnny to have to go away and not be there right now, so that Kreese can sort of nudge everyone in entirely the wrong direction. So that's fun. See that play out in the episode as well.
Yeah, and then back at Miyagi-Do, well, actually, before that, Johnny gets a call, and he has to leave.
Yeah.
And leaving them in the midst of Kreese. But yeah, then in Miyagi-Do, hey, this thing's so heavy. How'd they even knock it down? Well, it's a lot easier to knock something down than it is to build it back up. Some great
strong roots. You have strong roots. It's a metaphor, guys.
A lot of great knowledge being dropped by Sensei LaRusso. And we have the, standard Miyagi-Do students trying to help build up. And we have the Cobra Kais show up. And I do like that Robbie's immediately like, fuck Cobra Kai. Like, he's in the Daniel LaRusso business of anyone that's Cobra Kai is evil. And then Daniel's kind of almost very un-Daniel because he's trusting the Cobra Kai. But as we know, there's no such thing as bad students, only bad teachers. So they are just kids. You can give them a second chance.
And I think more importantly, Daniel-san is just so goddamn thirsty for new students. He's been at this for episodes and episodes. He's wandered the beach in tattered clothing as if it was a desert. And this is the oasis of new students. And he's not going to question where they came from. He's going to slurp them right up into his dojo.
And then this is where we have the other Game of Thrones reference that we were talking about in the last episode. This one doesn't work as well for me, although it is a decent reference when he's like, it's like letting the wildlings cross the wall or pass the wall. And then Daniel's like, but didn't they help Jon Snow? Was it the battle? Was it the Battle of Bastards? Not the Battle of Bastards. What battle did they help Jon Snow?
That's the one he meant. That's the one he references. Yeah.
What about the other battle?
Don't worry about the other battle, Jim. It's like this reference kind of worked when it was coming out, because this came out in April and the Game of Thrones hadn't ended yet. But it was right on the cusp. It worked when the show was released, I believe. But now we're like, and it's kind of also the way he does it, where Daniel turns to the camera is like but didn't the wildlings help Jon Snow in the Battle of the Bastards? Now he's talking to Dimitri in language Dimitri can understand, but still, yeah, it's not as relevant at this point, I feel.
Well, but because they're still treating it like only Daniel and Dimitri know what Game of Thrones is. Like, of course, Robbie and Sam, all they know is I guess Instagram, and that's it. And then even these new guys, everyone is completely puzzled by Game of Thrones. This is some different Klingon language that only Dimitri and Daniel know. But it's it's the same point that they already have. Like, I guess it shows that they still can communicate. But yeah, I don't know. And it does have the stink of Game of Thrones, so that's why we're like, stop making these references.
Yeah. So we have Johnny arriving at a hospice where Bobby, who's now a priest, is the first guy he runs into. We get to see how all the Cobra Kais have grown up, of course, in this sequence. And there's ample flashbacks as well, just to kind of reinforce that these are the people you're seeing. Yeah, I honestly I mix up their names still, so please forgive me if I do that.
I do mix them up as well. So I think was Bobby the sweep the leg?
Bobby's the priest now. I don't know who was shouting what, because I feel like it was all.
I don't mean.
Oh, you mean
the one who injures? Like, who's the one that injures Daniel, or was that Tommy that injures Daniel?
Right, I get you. I forget. I'm sorry. We should probably look into that before we proceed, so we know who to hate. I joke. No such thing as a bad student.
Hold on, I'm gonna
sweep them the link.
We should know this. We're hosting this,
but that's the thing. That's what I was saying about these Cobra Kais. Even when it's like the guy who's in the semis with Daniel in the original, I'm still like, that's one of the other Cobra Kais. I'm sorry, you don't have enough personalities.
I mean, especially in Karate Kid, Bobby and Tommy look very similar.
Yeah.
You talk about the missing Cobra who does stand out, the blonde one. That's Dutch, and they talk about how he's in jail, which does make perfect sense because he seems like the crazy, like in Karate Kid, he does seem like the crazier one.
Is he the one who's shouting and like, wait, who shouts? Put him in a body bag.
That's
get him
Tommy.
a body bag.
Tommy does get him does shout, get him a body bag.
Right. So
yeah, I'm
Body Kid. We both just researching this real quick. Yeah, I'm gonna figure it out.
Good.
Semifinals here.
Bobby. Okay, Bobby savagely hurts Daniel with an illegal kick to the knee,
and now he's a priest. See how people change.
Okay, so yeah, in our defense, they do look very similar, especially when you look at pictures of them from the movie. But yes, so yeah, Bobby's the one that hurts Daniel. Tommy's the one that yells, get him a body bag. And then we have Dutch. Dutch is the blonde one. And then Jerry's wait, no, not Jerry. Who's the other one that's with them here?
Jimmy.
Jimmy. Yeah. And Jimmy's just kind of hanging around.
Yeah. No, he's the guy who's like a broker or something now. He's on the phone. I don't know why I said broker, just because he has a Bluetooth headset and is talking fast.
And I don't want to especially because the dude passed away, but I mean, it's hard not to be like, wow, Machio and Zapka look amazing for their age. Like, this is not an insult to the other guys. It's just the other guys look their age.
Yeah. No, in this one, I was literally like, wait, how old are Daniel and and Johnny? Because
you forget, how long ago Karate Kid was, and that these are older gentlemen because they do look great for their age.
Yeah. So obviously, bit of a somber episode, but they have a bit of a chat, and they sort of talk about, you were always the better fighter, and don't you remember that battle? But you beat me in the final, and all that. But either way, they're having a chat about how he's gonna be signed out for 24 hours. And it's great when they hear the machine go beep and they rush in, and the guy's just pulling his meters off, like, let's get the fuck out of here, bros. Well, he's amped up.
What's cool about this storyline as well is this kind of like a story we'd see. This could almost be like a weird indie movie. It's the high school friends that have kept in touch. Here we are 30 some odd, almost 40 years later.
Yeah.
They still have this bond, and they're all in their own separate lives, and they come back together because one of them's sick. It's like It's, tale almost as old as time, but it's just to get that extra oomph because it's the fucking Cobra Kais and they're all on motorcycles and it's playing that awesome song. Back in the days when we were cool,
I don't know, Jen. Some of these moments, like, I usually when we discuss the moments when it gets so out there, you're always like way on board, and I'm like, well, when I watched it the third time, I was like, what the fuck's going on? I will say when they're driving off there, and probably it's just the song itself, because like you said, it's like we're driving motorbikes and we're so cool and we're fighting. Like it's such a like Team America World Police type song that I have, and they're intercutting it with footage from the original, and I'm like, I'm on board, but it's also so silly at the same time,
It is, but it's just, I don't know. I feel like it has that right balance. And again, it's probably plays, not that I'm their age, but I mean, I'm older. So you can relate to, meeting up with your old friends that you haven't seen in years, but there's still that, camaraderie. You kind of revert back to that self.
Yeah.
And you're gonna be cranking tunes from when you were in high school. You know what I mean? So you're gonna be cranking this song, and believe me, I tried listening to this song once because I was like, "Oh, what's that song they're playing?" And that's the only cool part of that song. The rest of the song is not what you expect. There's just that one part, and even then, it's not that cool, as you know. But still.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad that you were like, that sounds cool. I'll listen to that. And then you were like, without the context of Karate Kid, this is bullshit. So they go to a bar and reminisce about how they all got served dishwater when they tried to use fake ID and drank it because they didn't know what beer was supposed to taste like. I don't want to get sidetracked, but I am kind of wondering like which of these Cobras brought 4 motorbikes because Johnny doesn't have one.
Cool.
And like, are they rentals? Either way, they go to a biker pub because there's all these bikes in front, and they have some heartfelt one-to-ones. Well, not but they're all talking. I don't know what I'm talking about, but like they get even they're like, you letting Kreese back in? Sounds like a shit idea, Johnny.
Well, no, what I was going to point out, not only that, but even they're like Cobra Kai, like they almost have a LaRusso-like reaction. Like, and in a weird way, it sells it like retroactively. It makes Daniel seem like not as much as a lunatic or a crazy person, like the way he seemed a little bit in the beginning. Because even ex-Cobra Kais are like, what? You're bringing back Cobra Kai? And you're bringing back Kreese? Are you serious? Like they understand some of the villainy and the evilness that you're toying with when you invoke the name Cobra Kai.
Well, how do you feel about that? Because they're saying that they're like, oh, when we went out like into the real world and tried to apply that bullshit, it all fucked us up learning that stuff. But obviously, we've seen in season 1 that the way Johnny's taught it, at least before the influence of Kreese, like there's merit to it as well, even though there's downsides to it that we've seen. So, like, what do you think that does? Is it just kind of to emphasize even more Kreese equals bad, Johnny equals good, or what's going on here?
Yeah, well, I think it lands on the fact that there's some validity to standing up for yourself, having confidence in yourself, not letting people treat you badly or walk all over you. There's some validity to that, but it leads you can't, I mean, I guess balance, but you can't go too far. Even though Johnny like does almost go too far, especially when we talked about how he almost drowned Miguel, and if he did that to Dimitri, he would have drowned him. But I guess, Kreese or people that are too swayed by, I guess, maybe the power they start to feel by being confident and then turning that into treating other people worse. That's, it's a path to darkness, but it starts out, or it can be something valid that just helps someone who's a victim, like not being a victim in your life. I guess that's kind of how I read it, is that you go too far. And Johnny is, he started out one way and was almost going too far, but he's learning from it and he's finding his own Cobra Kai, which could be the best of both worlds.
Yeah, hopefully. Like I've said before, I can't wait to see him meditating in season 3, but we'll get to it. So yeah, we back at Bad Cobra Kai. We have Kreese. We skipped over it, but Kreese is making them all lift weights and stuff. And then once they basically start eating each other alive, he tells them, it was Hawk, and it was the clip from the beginning. He says it's all of them, and when one of you makes a move, you all make a move. And then after the bar scene we just mentioned, or intercut with it, we have back as well. They're now doing some sparring, and Tori with a Y is fighting. Is it Sting? No, I don't remember. Shit Breath is who she's fighting. And and Kreese is trying to instill this sort of like, well, when they're down, you have to hit them again. And Miguel's like, that seems fucked up. And Kreese is like, yeah, like in a tournament, you're right. It ends when you get the point, but in real life, you gotta keep fighting until the end or whatever. Make sure your opponent's beaten. But like, they're not in real life; they're in the dojo. So, like, I get it. He's trying to sell it here, but I'm not really buying it. In like, he's very charismatic at times, and he can sell it. But it's like, yeah, but you just told us about how we're all in it together, and you want us to beat each other up more. I guess. I mean, there's you can get harder, whatever, but he Miguel isn't quite buying it, not yet.
Yeah, which is, I mean, we've been seeing that Miguel, like the past 3 episodes or so, he's always like, what is up with this guy? He doesn't, he rightfully doesn't believe him. He's not going to be swayed. I mean, kind of in the midst of some of that leading up to this point, we did have like Daniel's blowing off a sales meeting because he's all excited about his students, and his wife's like, oh, all right, it's, something important, unlike our car dealership.
Yeah.
Dimitri and Chris are kind of going back and forth, because Chris is one of the dudes that was bullying Dimitri with Hawk, and now there's trying to work together, and Daniel assigns them the task of lifting up the stone. And yeah, from the midst of that, like when we get caught up after Kreese and Miguel, we have the hilarious moment when Daniel's with kind of the new recruits, and he's asking him like, what is karate? And that little kid yells out like, what? Like, strike first, strike hard, no mercy.
That's probably exactly how cool we sound at the end of each episode.
Yeah.
Strike first, strike hard, no mercy. And then he asks, I want you to clear your minds, think, what's the ultimate lesson we learn? And there's a big silence, and then the same kid's like, don't be a pussy.
Yeah. And now Robbie's still outside, kind of like side-eyed, cross-eyed, wondering what's going on here. Is part of this just jealousy of, the attention of Sensei LaRusso, or I guess it's just because the Cobra Kai is so intertwined with his father and his issues with his dad, or I guess that mixes everything together for him. Like he's still got this strong reaction. Like, I can't believe your dad's teaching Cobra Kais.
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, it's probably how I'm trying to remember, because we're getting so far into the show that I'm like, did he get ganged up by a bunch of Cobra Kais at some point? And I'm like, he probably did, right? But I don't think so. But he has, obviously, at the tournament, he got hella fucked up, and he knows his dad, and he knows that, it's probably driven by jealousy to a large extent, because Miguel is basically Johnny's son at this point. And he's like the star Cobra Kai pupil. And also, obviously, I just remembered the big fight in the fucking mall that was last episode, when they were just trying to beat up Dimitri for no real reason. And yeah. But honestly, my brain skipped over that scene. I didn't think about it that much, because it feels like the only purpose of that scene is for him to get to talk about how he wants to bang her and go like, I don't know, can't change how you feel. That's not even related to Cobra Kai, bro. You're just talking about your feelings. Just come out and say it. That's what I think.
That's true. And then is that when Daniel comes out? Oh, because they say like, yeah, once a Cobra Kai, always a Cobra Kai. And then Daniel tells him that's not true, because
it's because, sorry to cut you off, but it's Dimitri and Chris are trying to lift the thing with a fulcrum, or by himself, and then with a fulcrum. They got the assignment because they were, they were not being friendly, and the guy's like fulcrum, more like full of crap, and kind of hits him on the side. And to be fair, it's he's doesn't seem to be trying to hit him hard, but we know Dimitri is fragile, and they start yelling at each other, and says Quiver in there is full of crap, and then that's, I think he shoves him. Yeah, and then he comes out and does the big reveal that he was once Cobra Kai.
It's funny because when I did originally watch this when it aired, I hadn't seen Karate Kid 3 since I was a kid, so I forgot so much. And then
I hadn't even seen it. I was like, there's more Karate Kid films? Because I was like, I don't remember this part. This would have been the first time I ever saw Mr. Silver in these flashbacks. I had no idea who he was.
And yeah, that's why these flashbacks are definitely important.
Yeah.
They do build the context. And it did remind me, I was like, oh yeah, because I did remember at least the when Daniel had to punch like the wooden figure or whatever. I was like, oh yeah, I do remember that. I didn't remember any like specifics around it. I just kind of remembered those shots. And yeah, so we get it's a nice way to tie it in. And Daniel does basically kind of explain Karate Kid 3, and it's even something he was so ashamed of he never even told his daughter about it. She's like, I never heard any of this. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
it's not something he's proud of. Before he gets to the flashback and the story of Karate Kid 3, I guess we kind of already touched on it, but the Cobras get to kick some ass in a bar. Like, they show this guy already looks kind of like a douche, but he's also like being like feeling up or like assaulting a woman right before they have to kick his ass. So nice shorthand. So you're immediately like, okay, good, let's kick some ass. And it's just cool to see them all back together kicking ass.
Yeah, no, I mean it's very much like, here's the best opportunity ever to fight a guy, like talking about 80s tropes and whatever. There's a biker gang fight in a pub, and the girl who the guy was assaulting, like tosses a glass over to Johnny so Johnny can smash it on the guy's head, and he kind of winks at her at the end, and I'm like, do I want to fuck Johnny? I feel like I do. It's great stuff. And even Tommy even gets to get in there in his state, and the guy Jimmy, who's like more seems like a business guy, he hits someone and then he looks at his hands, and it's kind of like, I think when everything was coming together for Miguel, and he was like, whoa, but he's like, whoa, I can still do this, muscle memory, bro. And there's a big ass fight, and it's great. What a great last hurrah.
Yeah, they get to all bond and flex those old karate muscles. And then we do get to see Terry Silver quickly in the flashback, and I guess at least a picture of the bad boy of karate.
Yes, I have to say as well, during the fight, the music is so on the nose. It's like, this is the fight song is a lyric in the song.
Right. Yeah, it's a fight
so
song.
I think that one stuck out to me in addition to the one where they're on the bikes, which was basically like, now we're on bikes and we're driving down the road, and this one's like, now we're fighting in a pub, blah 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 blah.
Miguel's sparring, and Tori comes, and we kind of get her story and how I love it because Miguel's kind of like fishing a little bit. He's like, oh, that was pretty weird earlier, huh? Talking about the crease thing, and she's like, no, not really. And he's like, what do you mean? And we kind of hear her story, her mom was just bringing home leftover food as a waitress, and she got fired for it because it's company policy, which is super fucked up. It was just food that was going to be thrown away. And obviously, they're poor, bringing home leftover food. And it's like, well, the world isn't going to show mercy. So it does show that the type of people that something like Cobra Kai can entice and prey upon a bit. They're people looking that have been dealt a bad hand and looking to kind of lash out back at the world.
Yeah, and this is she basically gives a better context to what Kreese is trying to say. It's, again, I'm like, you take that and oh, we should show no mercy to the world. And I'm like, I don't know, Miguel and Johnny, they've been through the whole maybe you should go down and talk to the tournament people. He's like, yeah, right, I'll go kick their asses. And Miguel's like, I didn't mean that. I meant maybe there's a different way of showing no mercy. And that's kind of what's being brought up here again. But it's also how does that translate into physically really harming the people who are also in Cobra Kai and starting fights out of nowhere. I guess. But anyway, she gives him basically this is like we said, this is the worst possible time for Johnny to go away because Miguel gets the nudge so that when Johnny's back, he's gonna not be as negative on Kreese, I think.
Yeah, you're right. It sells it way more than Kreese trying to sell it. Then we have Dimitri and Chris working together. They both have a fulcrum now, and it's like bamboo or something, and it works. Teamwork.
And bamboo stronger than wood because it bends. There's probably a metaphor in there.
Teamwork makes the dream work, and also they do this thing with their high five where Dimitri's kind of supposed to look lame. But I feel like Dimitri's doing the proper high five here. And I don't know. I've never seen you put your, obviously you do a fist bump, but you put a high fist bump, like a high five. I don't think so, Chris. You're in the wrong here. You should not be looking weird at Dimitri with what he does.
Jim, I have one question for you there. What do we do at the end of every episode of No Mercy? That's right. We do a high fist bump if you're not on the YouTube, go to youtube.com/shows what you know. You can see the streams. We do a high fist bump. So I don't think we're the people to judge here.
That's true. We do a virtual fist bump. So, all right. Let us know. What do you think? Is a high fist bump a thing?
I think he's just aggressively giving dap. But yeah, I mean, they both fucked up on that one. They're both fucking nerds in my book.
Yeah. Then we have the Cobras. They're out camping because this is also what they would do on their bikes.
Oh yeah.
And we have Johnny and Tommy tells him that he was actually in love with Allie.
I'll tell you, there's a lot of fan fiction authors who are really annoyed that it was Allie in that sentence and not you, Johnny. It was in love with you, Johnny.
I guess, with Tommy, Johnny, Johnny with an H?
Tawny. I don't think we should get into it because we already talked about this episode for 30 minutes. But yes, it's a thing. They're all slashed. Okay, just go to Archive of Our Own. But yeah, so
he kind of says that he basically joined Cobra Kai because he looked up to Johnny and saw that he was fearless.
Yeah.
And really nice. I mean, especially now in a meta respect, him telling Johnny that he has a gift basically in time, and it's something everyone should learn from. You forget that you do have time to make things right or be a better person or change your life even as an old man, except when you're on your deathbed. I mean, not even except, I guess, but it takes on different resonance knowing that the actor did pass away as well. But he also, I think that the scene's handled really well done as well. And I like that he calls him the champ at the end. And I guess they do bring up that what they fought in the finals the year before.
Yeah.
And Johnny kicked his ass.
Yeah. Well, that means he has one of those huge second place trophies. So he didn't come out of it with nothing to show for it. Yeah, you're the champ. It's a good line. I don't know where the fuck. I guess the other two Cobras are just all fucking. I guess they're just fucking in the woods.
Of course. What else?
Yeah. So back at Miyagi-Do, we have everyone now doing the old breathing meditation thing. They're all doing it, so that's cool. We have Miguel showing up. Kreese is just pumping weights, cool dude that he is when Miguel shows up in the back room. As we talked about, this cavern at the back of Cobra Kai, the cancer that grows on the light, airy Cobra Kai that is the front room where Johnny lives. I like this analogy. There's a video essay in here somewhere.
No, totally. And it completely works because he's always that's where he has most of his power. When he's out in the main room, he always is hinting around shit.
Yeah.
But here he's just I'm the best. This is my domain.
Yeah, and this is where we get to see the two of them as well in the dark. And Kreese talks about how Sensei Lawrence's heart is in the right place, but he's a little mixed up. You and me will get him right back on track, right, Miguel? And Miguel's like, yeah. So he's even bought into Kreese's style now with a little assist from Tori there.
Yeah, and then Johnny wakes up, and they're trying to wake up Tommy, and everyone's freaking out because he's not gonna make it. The ambulance comes. Like in the midst of that, we have Kreese giving a monologue. Cobra Kai is your brothers and sisters. And of course, Cobra Kai never dies as the body bag's being zipped up. I guess we do get a couple shots of Miyagi-Do. They're also kind of still in unison training. But yeah, it is a pretty heavy ending for this type of show. And this show always kind of gets dramatic, but yeah, it's pretty heavy for Cobra Kai.
I think knowing that the actor passed away changes it a bit for me because originally with The Show Must Go On playing, it was like the third musical choice that for me was like so on the nose that or not on the nose. That's not the right phrasing of it, but like it's just there's slow motion and they're screaming and thumping his chest. And also Kreese is given this monologue and says Cobra Kai never dies. Also, there's a body bag and they were yelling about a body bag. Yeah. And the EMTs or paramedics looking up, like shaking his head in slow motion. And you have the three of them. And it just felt like a little bit much. But yeah, I guess that additional context makes me go, oh man, now I actually do feel the bummer moment of it a bit more than I was.
Yeah, I could see what you're saying because it's on paper it is very elevated, and yeah, with the song, I have a special place in my heart for The Show Must Go On, so I love that they played it. I did use it back on my show when I thought I was going to end my show one time, and then I opened it with The Show Must Go On because the show must go on, but not this show because we're pretty much finishing this episode.
Yes, indeed. Well, the podcast must go on. You can find all our episodes. Find all our other shows and this show at showswhatyouknow.com. I also mentioned YouTube. We're on YouTube. Just go to YouTube and search Shows What You Know. And of course, we appreciate any and all reviews left on Apple Podcasts. Jim, I think we had one you wanted to. Right. In honor of this episode, we'll read one of our many, many reviews.
Yeah, it does work. From the Arctic Burnout, 5 stars. Title: Greatness. Get all other Karate Kid related podcasts a body bag. So thank you for that review. We do appreciate reviews. It really helps us, the show, and also share and tell a friend.
And beyond that, I think, Jim, there's just one more thing.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
Strike first.
Strike hard.
No mercy.
High fist bump.